But I'm led to believe that you've got a bit of head wobble this afternoon too.
About what?
Down the 80s reunion for Richmond.
Yes, there is an 80s reunion.
Which
at the
premiership
MCG.
team is it?
Premiership?
No. Which year is it?
We're celebrating. You're celebrating a prelim
final.
Yeah.
We're celebrating.
What are you celebrating
a
then?
decade of the 80s.
A decade?
Yes.
What? How many final series in that decade, Brian?
Well, if you really want to know, that one premiership
Yeah.
and 2 grand finals.
So were you
Sounds
involved?
pretty good.
Were you involved in those?
Sort of on the sidelines. A little.
Now, Andy Preston, he'll be down there, won't he? Jimmy Jess?
Yeah, they'll all be there.
You want to tell the story to Duck and
Look, quick
Andy
story
Preston.
about Andy.
Andy Preston.
We're out at Waverley. Super boxes have just become famous. You know, the new super boxes out there at Waverley
Yep,
where you get up there.
cool.
They're commonplace at all venues around the world now, but they just come in, Duck. You were barely born. And anyway, after the game we'd won, and Steve Perry himself, Andy Preston, Jimmy Jess, a few had indulged and went up into the super box after the game at 6 p.m. We rocked out at midnight. It was, we'd spent 6 hours in the super box.
And you were working for Jefferson Ford at the time, were you?
Yes, we'd had a fair guzzle, and we walked down to the bottom entry into VFL Park, and I said to the boys, "You stay here on the concourse. I'll go and get the brand new Ford Fairmont delivered by Simon Jefferson that day. Beautiful brown.
A little
colour.
bit of rain on the grass too, wasn't there? A little bit of precipitation.
Baby shit brown. A lot of gravel in the car park. And
It only had 2 light beers, but
and all they saw coming towards them, standing on the concourse, was dust and a roaring sound. And it was me doing silly thing to do at the time, doing donuts all the way back. And Andy's, unbeknown to me, gone over to just have a leak on the car over there, and he's walked into the car park where I was constructing some donuts. And I thought I'd hit a kangaroo, but it was actually Andy. And hit him with the back part of the car, launched him about 20 metres into the air, fractured his shoulder, and went over to pick him up. Tough as nails, Andy Preston, farmer, real tough sort of goer. And his bones popping out of the skin. And I said, Andy, mate, you can't dob me in. You know, you're going to have to go to training tomorrow and fall over and say you've done a bit of training.
And that's exactly what he did.
And that's exactly what we did. We got him to training the next day, got him patched up, and he said he slipped in the gutter as he was running a warm-up lap.
Now, you're going to go with the Perth one. You may as well finish it off. The Mandurah when you bought the kilometre worth of rope.
No, that's too.
All right. I'm led to believe during the week, Brian, that you may have had a little bit of a procedure regarding men's health.
I did, actually.
Yeah, it was actually a big procedure, Brian.
Oh, boy.
A colonoscopy.
What was it?
The Silver Stallion.
Yeah.
And what did they find, Brian?
When he showed me the instrument, I said, "Oh no."
Yeah, no, I think you went, "Oh yes."
It was funny actually because this is true. So we're at the colonoscopy clinic just down here in East Melbourne. We're waiting to go, and there's about 10 people in the room. You're all looking at each other, going, "Oh, you're having one too." Oh, boy. and anyway, we've got the cameraman there to shoot it for Channel 7.
So we're going to be seeing this in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
The actual insertion of the Silver Stallion? Or?
During the EJ Whitten
Well, I
coverage.
hope not.
Anyway, the 2 cameramen walked in with their big cameras, and one of the guys sitting over in the corner there waiting for his colonoscopy said, "Shit, I didn't know the camera was going to be that big, go."
So, Brian, is it true?
Had a 4-inch lens on it.
Yeah. So, for anyone listening, anyone aged over the age of 50, and we're sort of getting that air, and for you, Warrior, and Luke, the producer, and Swatter, is it true after the colonoscopy there's a little bit of flatulence, Brian? Do we get that on the camera, the amount of flatulence?
There's a fair bit of it.
Do we need to go there, Spud?
No, we don't.
Too late, Tomo.
All men should have it done. There's a fair bit of air. It's
Now,